I'll assume we're streaming now then. Sure. Hello, everyone. Thanks for taking the time to join today. This call is meant to be informal. Was that the start noise? Anyway, this call is meant to be informal. We haven't had one of these in a while. It's a chance to catch up, talk about where ETC stands, talk about the ideas we've been thinking about, or we've been kicking around in the channels and in email threads. So this is kind of bringing everyone together so we can discuss. Big picture is ETC still here to stay. If we want it to not just survive and be a coin that's kind of moving sideways for the last couple years, and we keep coming to the chat rooms and just so we can troll each other. I mean, if it's going to survive, it's going to be because people that like this that show up to meetings, stay engaged, help shape the future. So these are people in this call are the ones that I guess we need to talk to. So I mean, there's big things that we need to talk about as a group, as Ethereum Classic, like core infrastructure, how we want to manage Geth, or what long-term view is on that, if we want to keep chasing the latest updates of Ethereum, or whether it's we do other engineering on our own, or how we decide on which forks happen. It's there's not a clear path right now, or clear process on that. So coming together around that, how we make those decisions, funding and grants, how we engage with people who are wanting to build on the network, how we can have sustainable funding for all the things that aren't the sexy parts of cryptocurrency, like running block explorers or keeping communication channels open, running test nets, things like that. Ethereum Classic, I guess in general, as a cryptocurrency, how we want to talk about it as a group still. Is it the world shifted today from where it was even a year ago on standards around cryptocurrency? We're getting a lot more legal clarity around what rules will be in place around crypto and things involved in it. So we're defining what Ethereum Classic means in a world where there's thousands of L2s now. There's tons of alternatives, and block spaces mostly unlimited. How do we get people to realize the real value of ETC, the philosophical thing that keeps us all tethered to coming to these chat rooms? And the community, there's only, 7 of us here of top 20 cryptocurrency. The community is probably the most important for this whole thing to work. We need to bring people in. The people that are here engaged with it. We got to figure out how to get everyone doing something productive. If you're here today, you're already part of the story of what's current with ETC. What's the latest voice? Who's driving the changes in it? It's this group. This is the people who have come together. We want more builders. We want more node runners. We want more people testing and translating and spreading word. But there's no central company or no foundation that's going to be able to step in and run everything and just give Ethereum Classic everything it needs. It's ours. So what we do next depends on all of us here in this call. So thank you for coming, everyone. And yeah, let's start the conversation, I guess. I don't have a plan of how to tackle each of these or how to discuss them. So feel free to come off mute, chime in. I guess if no one else has any topics they want to discuss, we can just run through the ones I just hit.
Yeah, I think if you want to maybe, Cody, talk about what we need on core Geth moving forward. I think that's probably a good start. just in the sense that it's such critical software. Um, Generally, the public doesn't really know where that stands after recent announcements of funding and things like that. In fact, we don't even know who's working on it. We don't know if there's anyone staffed to work on it. My understanding is that the two developers that actually were able to work on it have left ETC Co-op. So, and then I know that there's another developer there, Diego, but my understanding was that Diego was a Bezu developer, so I don't know what he's been doing since Bezo has been deprecated for Ethereum Classic for, I mean, I thought it was like 2023. I forget the date, but if you could just fill us in maybe in what's going on with that. Definitely the last call we had was a community call on this stream, and it was essentially ETC Co-op stating that they were running out of money. So that's kind of where the conversation has left in this series of calls. So I hope that's helpful.
That's helpful. Yeah, and right now Diego's the core developer that's still with the co-op. So he's still here. He's still doing patches as they come in from upstream. Besu still connects to Ethereum Classic. It's just not the preferred client. So it does exist. It works. It's there. And Diego's work there is probably one of the things that'll help us. Because while we were doing whatever we were doing in ETC land, the rest of Ethereum moved on from the monolithic client standpoint of they have one node that does everything. They've moved to a modular architecture. Around the time of the merge, they split out all the consensus logic from the execution clients. So Geth got its, or Geth can run with any of the consensus clients. It's a separate node. Besu can run with any of the consensus clients because the execution is separate from consensus. But with ETC, we're still have everything's all in one box. Our multi-get has our mining, it has the execution, everything's all packaged in one. So we're always kind of tied to whatever changes are coming through from upstream on it. I mean, I guess long-term, the ideal would be to have something similar to the proof of stake validator nodes for proof of work, have a separate consensus node that manages ETC's custom logic that isn't from upstream. So our handling of the bomb, handling how we do difficulty adjustment, the halvening or fifthening on chain, all of that would be in a consensus node. And then all the changes from upstream Ethereum to the EVM would just be direct ports to whatever execution client's running. So we could use this consensus client with any execution client. We wouldn't just be tied to Geth or Besu. It would be, any of it would be available to us.
Hey, can I just jump in here? Hi, guys. I just want to let everyone know that Diego, since the other devs joined at the beginning of 2023, he's been working with them with Corgeth. So he may not have as much experience as they had, but he is able to do what's necessary with Corgeth as well. So don't be concerned that he's just been there on his own doing stuff with Bezu and doesn't have the ability to do what's necessary now, because he does. So he's had 2 years of experience working with those guys. They were working as a really tight team. So he was able to pick up all that knowledge over the last couple of years.
Cool. That's very helpful. Thanks, Allison. Yeah, so that's I guess where we're at on development. I mean,
So to touch on what you were just talking about, Cody, is Diego competent to do that development work? Is that what he's tasked with doing now, or is that something that we will need to staff for? And and it sounds like a pretty deep plan to split those apart. Has another team already done this for proof of work? You mentioned that it's happened for proof of stake, but has that been done by any different network that uses Geth. So we maybe have some audits or source code to work with. Do you know any of that stuff by chance, or is it still too early? If someone's talking, I can't hear anyone talking. This is some of the old issues we had with Discord, so I'm gonna read.
I can't hear either, so.
Cody, try to rejoin. This has happened in the past where this is why we were kind of moving to Twitter Spaces for these type of things.
Yeah, maybe go on your, I have to go on my phone. Maybe go on your phone if you're on your laptop.
Audible now?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
I guess I dropped out. Sorry. Where did I leave off at?
You dropped out before you started talking, like right as I was finishing talking.
Oh man, that's crazy. So y'all have just been listening to silence for the last. Okay. Funny.
Yep.
Yeah. So I guess was Allison audible?
Yeah, Allison and I were talking. But
Okay.
I think
Okay. Cool. Yeah. So what I had said, I guess, out of the whole thing.
Oh, sorry. We could
Summarizing.
hear you. We could hear you up until I was asking you. I was doing a follow up, and I had just asked you if you had done the research on it. Like, do we need to staff up for it? Any of those things? Did you hear that part?
No, I didn't hear that part. I think I dropped before
Okay,
then.
so we heard you kind of explain the core gas stuff and splitting the proof of work out and everything. Is Diego capable of doing that? Do we need to find staff for that? Is there already source code? Has another team already built the split out the core geth for proof of work? Or is it just too early in the research? What's the situation with everything you just talked about?
I would say probably too early in the research right now. I don't think Diego would do this on his own. I mean, he'd be a great candidate for coordinating teams. Whenever Ethereum mainnet did this, it took an effort of several teams building this out over months to get it put together. It's not a small effort, I guess. I don't want to trivialize it and say we can just copy and paste some code. This would be actual engineering work that would have to get done. We'd have to define how the protocol works together, make sure we're matching up with the API spec that they have for the consensus nodes on mainnet for their proof of stake. So we'd have to use the same interface. We'd have to figure out. I'm sure there's a ton of tripwires along the way. So the short answer is it's a decision we have to make as a community that we have to commit to and figure out the work that needs to be done and start going down that path. It's not a quick way or something we can just throw over the fence and hope that one or two developers pick it up and run with it.
Yeah, and so from my understanding, it sounds like this is going to be a necessity as we continue to maintain protocol parity with the EVM standard, right? as it's just gonna keep getting worse if we don't make this change to the client?
Yeah, we're on a limited timeline with how long we can use the current Ethereum clients. They've all moved to proof of stake, or mainnet's proof of stake now. So anyone who's building a client for Ethereum is just building an execution client, or they're just building a consensus client. There's Geth itself has started to chop all the code out for proof of work. Besu did the same. So if we don't commit to figuring out how to make this work, then we're gonna have to fully maintain our own code in the future going forward, which is an option. Just keep the lights on, keep doing what we're doing, evaluate forks as they come, and hope there's no breaking changes. But I guess that's what we kind of need to decide as a group. Is this something worth engaging on, or are there other things that are a higher priority right now in the overall development pipeline?
And is Geth the desired client to continue with, or is this a moment where there might be another client out there that has more features or is more performative, that it would make sense to maybe perform this work on instead of the Geth stack? What's your view on that? Or is Geth still the upstream of choice?
It would be more of a choice of which execution client you want to use. Right now, we're tied to Geth because that's where everything is.
All right. Does anyone else have any questions about this? Anyone else in the chat?
Does the potential bifurcation of the node into an execution client and into a consensus client mean that there's going to be a layer 1 and a layer 2 within the network, or some analogy of that?
Well,
For example, will there be nodes and miners running only the consensus client and other people in the world running only the execution client, and they have to connect over the internet to integrate the information and things like that?
Cody,
I'm not.
I think you
Yeah.
might have cut.
Yeah, Cody, I don't think we can hear you again. Dang.
Here, I think something I can do. We can fire up Twitter Spaces real quick and probably share a link and get a recording going there, and then Lal can participate as well. I think that's something maybe.
Yeah, I think so. This obviously is not working.
were you able to hear the Freebird? Did that answer your question?
We're not hearing you. I think Freebird said he's going to just start a Twitter Spaces, and then also Lol can take part because this is not working well.
Okay, so we go to general and we wait for the link there.
Yeah, sounds good.
Very good.